the last 2 or 3 years, I've been really digging into what we seem to be doing with science fiction, because it's like a level of popularity of science fiction movies and now video games as well. And we're kind of going into science fiction virtual worlds, which I think is interesting to try and explain why are we so fascinated with this symbolism, this kind of symbolic language. And what I keep running into, and I'd be happy to talk a bit more about this as we talk, is that um, science fiction seems to be a kind of symbolic language that keeps drawing on older mythologies, and especially religious mythologies, and most of all the kind of the Christian mythos. And then I've been fascinated with your thinking about the continuing need for a symbolic mythos for our culture, and the relationship of that to Viveki's meaning crisis and other areas of our sense making kind of conundrum that we're facing at the moment. So I'd really just love to kind of dialogue us and see where we overlap with these.
Yeah, definitely.
Things.
That's
Yeah.
I think that the relationship between science fiction and fantasy is very important. I think a lot of people intuitively see them as connected, but I think they're connected. They're connected necessarily, you could say, almost, because there's a relationship between the deep past and the far future. It just in the way that we experience reality as spaces that the farther you go back and the farther you go in front, the more the coherence breaks down and becomes space for projection, becomes like a canvas or something that becomes potential for throwing meaning into, And so you see that. That's why I just wrote an article right now, just recently, about how science fiction, especially the idea of aliens and extraterrestrials, is an explosion of medieval thinking. It's actually taking medieval thinking of the notion of, let's say, foreign monsters on the borders of the world, and the foreign, and also the hybrids in the margins of manuscripts, and making it into a cosmic manuscript where all these faraway galaxies and faraway worlds are basically just playing out all these races that you would find in Pliny's maps, let's say, all these idiosyncrasies and aspects of humanity that are taken to a point and that manifest like a specific aspect. So I think that it's just the same stuff going on now that was going on in the Middle Ages. It's actually increased in a funny way. It's bigger than it was back then, but it's of the same nature, I think.